Welcome to the community briefing. My name is Gregory Sneed, and thank you for joining us today. Our guest is Jackie Broxton. She's the president and CEO of the Biddy Mason Charitable Foundation, and she's going to be sharing with us some valuable and great information about the mission of that foundation and what she is doing and how helping the community. Today's March 31, 2022. So the end of March, we got April starting tomorrow. March is going fast. This year's going by fast. So thank you for joining us. Those of you who are returning and joining us again, welcome back. My name is Gregory Sneed. The name of my company is Lifesaver Financial Services, and I help my clients keep more of the money that they make. I help that with life insurance. I do long-term care. Just now picked up final expense. I'm a financial coach, and I also teach financial literacy. I'll have some information in the chat so that you can reach out to me, because I believe that when you feel better about your money, you feel better about your life. Now, without further delay, it's my pleasure to introduce the queen of our community briefing, Miss Crystal Mitchell.
Good morning, everyone. I am so happy that you're here. We have a great guest today, Miss Jackie Broxton from the Biddy Mason Charitable Foundation, and we are happy to have her. We have some new faces today, and so welcome all of you for being here. And the purpose of the community briefing is to provide a network for our community and our stakeholders to come together to make sure that we keep our communities informed of what's going on in the communities live in real time. So this is our platform. This platform is powered and sponsored by Recycling Black Dollars and the Black Business Association, the BBA. And we bring this to you every week at 11 a.m. So please tell a friend, and I'm happy to have you here. Just a little bit about me. I am the co-director of Recycling Black Dollars, as well as I own my own business, Mr. Business Solutions, and I provide training and resources for our small business community and entrepreneurs in our small business community. And I work with various organizations to ensure that you have the tools and the resources you need to be a successful business. So welcome. And you can also check out the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert that we broadcast live every Friday afternoon at 3:00. And I also do another podcast regarding it's called Conversations on the Patio, and it's about retiring and retirement. For those of us that think we can never retire, but we do need to retire. So with that, I'm gonna turn it, Stephen, you gonna introduce yourself now or later?
Hi, it's a pleasure to be with you guys today. Again, my name is Stephen Turner. I'm Managing Director of the Slayton Group. We're a risk management insurance firm as well as a real estate development company. I'm one of the hosts and producers of the community briefing. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us. Without further ado, I'd like to bring on Gregory Sneed.
Thank you. And our other co-host, our other co-host, Robin Billups, is currently in flight, returning to her home of St. Louis to visit with family. And so she isn't able to join us today, but she will be back next week. So, Robin, we wish you safe travels. And now it's my pleasure to introduce our guests for today, Ms. Jackie Broxton. Jackie is a native of Los Angeles, City of Angels, and she serves, my bio says here, serves as the executive director, but she is now president and CEO of the Biddy Mason Charitable Foundation. That foundation was created in 2013, and it provides services and support to both current and former foster youth here in the Los Angeles County. She was educated locally at Los Angeles City Schools, specifically Dorsey High School. And there she developed a love of history and African American history, specifically in middle school. And that love has grown over the years. She's completing a series of 6 one-act plays on conversations between Biddy Mason and other early Los Angeles settlers. She's a 40-year member of First AME Church of Los Angeles, also my home church, where she served in a variety of leadership positions and wedding coordinator. And she helped coordinate my first wedding many, many years ago. She's been recognized by the Black faculty and staff of Los Angeles Community College Association for her leadership within the foster care community. She's also a community outreach director for the Long Journey to Freedom. That's an international research project examining the life of Biddy Mason. Additionally, she's a founding member of 3FM, which is Faith Foster Families Network, and an interfaith collaborative seeking to provide support to the foster community. She's the mother of one daughter, Felicia Martin Hill, who is the director of media and promotions for Essence Magazine, and the grandmother to two boys, Isaiah and Christian. So, please welcome to the virtual stage, Miss Jackie Broxton.
Thank you, Greg. And I want to thank Crystal, who I haven't seen in many years. I really didn't recognize her until you started talking, and then I really looked at you. I said, oh yeah, I remember that face. A lot of people have gone through First AME over the years, but I want to thank all of you for allowing me to share some time with you this morning. The Biddy Mason Charitable Foundation, as Greg said, was created in 2013, and it's named after Biddy Mason, and that's where I would kind of like to start. Biddy Mason was an African-American slave that came to the Los Angeles area in 1851, along with 13 other slaves that were owned by a Mormon slave owner by the name of Robert Mays Smith. It's unknown as to whether or not Mr. Smith knew that California had been admitted to the Union in 1850 as a free state, but nevertheless, he came to town with 13 slaves in tow, and he was noticed right away. The Mormons had a huge agricultural settlement in San Bernardino at the time, and that's where they primarily lived. But there were a lot of African Americans in the Los Angeles area in 1851. Many of them had obtained their freedom by serving in the Mexican-American War. So Biddy Mason, who had been trained as a midwife and an herbal healer, was in demand. She was a valuable asset for Mr. Smith. And through coming to town for supplies and what other things, she gradually met many of the people in that area, as well as some Blacks that lived in the San Bernardino area. And in 1866, she was convinced to petition for her freedom. She was successful, and not only did she gain her freedom, but the freedom of the other 13 slaves as well. I'm not talking too much about her history prior to that, because that's a whole separate story. So she began working the day after she received her freedom for $2.50 a day as an assistant to Dr. John Griffin, who was a prominent leader in the early Los Angeles community. And after 10 years, she had saved enough money to buy her first piece of property, which was at First and Spring. And that set her on a course of real estate buying and selling. And at the time of her death in 1891, her estate in today's money would be worth around $9 million. But through all of this, she never lost a sense of serving her community. She tended to people whether they could pay or not. She went in the jails to treat prisoners, and she took in a lot of orphans. And if you think about it, most slaves were orphans because they were separated from their families. And in 1872, she and 8 other former slaves formed First AME Church Los Angeles in the living room of her home. So when this group of people got together in 2013 and we decided that we wanted to do something significant for the foster care community, we felt like she had never been properly honored in the way that she should have been. And that's why we named the foundation after her. So in 2013, we got together and we decided that we wanted to do something to significantly impact the foster care system in LA County. LA County has the largest foster care population in the nation. There are 30,000 kids in the system. And of that, although African Americans make up less than 10% of the general population, we make up 24% of the foster care population. So there's something really wrong there. And this is a pattern that is repeated across the country, not just in Los Angeles. So we began by hosting events for foster youth, specifically designed to meet their needs. And in 2017, we began giving scholarships to foster youth because in talking to them, they cite the ones that have been able to attend college and go on to more successful lives. They cite two things as being critical: access to education and consistent mentorship. To date, we have given away just under $300,000 in scholarships, and we're on track to give away $80,000 this year. The scholarships open, as a matter of fact, tomorrow, April 1. Last year, we were fortunate enough to form a collaboration with California Lutheran Homes Foundation because we were giving away money, we were hosting events, but we didn't have a home. We were basically operating out of the garage of my house. We formed this relationship or partnership with California Lutheran Homes Foundation. They actually purchased a home for us in historic West Adams, which you're all invited to come and see. Paid cash for the house was $1.4 million, and they charge us $10 a month rent.
Wow.
I mean, it's crazy. For those of you who know Ellis Gordon, he's our treasurer, and he always tells me, I could have negotiated a better deal. I could have got the house for $5 a month. So we're in the house really didn't need a lot of renovation on the interior. The only thing we've really had to do is paint. But we have recently completed a capital campaign to raise money for some things that we want to do to the outside of the house. And hopefully we'll be starting that in late spring. But through this experience, we have, the money that we've given away in scholarships, now that we have the home, we're able to establish more permanent relationships with these kids. And one of the things we've done is on the second Sunday of every month, we have a group that meets called the Exchange. And these are kids that we have given scholarships to. They come together, we have dinner together, just like going to grandma's house for Sunday dinner, because many of them have not had that experience. And they tell us what they want in terms of speakers. So far we've had someone come and talk to them about buying and selling real estate, because that was something they were all interested in learning more about. Ellis Gordon did a presentation on wealth management, stocks and investing and credit, because that was something they were all interested in. And for the month of April, they've chosen a topic that's a little lighter. We're making dish gardens and planted baskets and that kind of thing. But it's interesting because when you're sitting there talking to the kids, I was talking to them the other week and I asked them, I said, how many high schools did you go to? And there were about 10 kids in the room. 5 high schools, 3 high schools, 7 high schools, 11 high schools. And the girl that went to 11 high schools was just recognized as a Fulbright scholar. So their backgrounds are very, very varied. One of the girls that comes to that group, she went into the system at 5 months old. She was separated from her mother. It was an immigration issue. She didn't see her mother for 17 years. And in the course of those 17 years, because she was young when she went in, she was adopted by a family that later gave her back to the county. So you're talking about layers and layers of trauma that these kids experience. And for them to still go on and go to school is remarkable, because it would be so easy to take another path. We also will be providing family reunification services here. This disproportionality issue of African Americans being 10% of the population and 24% of the foster care population is very disturbing to me personally, because I see it as an erosion of our families. So we will be able to provide a site where families can come and hopefully be reunited with their children in an atmosphere that is not sitting at a McDonald's or at a park. It's a more wholesome atmosphere. In December of this year, we were referred, a family was referred to us, mother and father and 3 children. Both mother and father had been in the foster care system. They had been homeless for over 6 months, and they had just gotten Section 8 housing. So when they came to pick up the toys for the kids, I mean, they stood out to us because the kids were so well behaved, because a lot of the kids that came during Christmas, this is a big house, they were running through here like mice, and parents seemed to have no control whatsoever. I mean, they weren't disturbing anything, but it's just the fact that they had no control over these kids. And this family came in, the children sat down, they ate, they opened their presents, and it was just a totally different feel. So after they left, we were sitting talking, and I said, you know, what good is it really, if they've been homeless all this time, for us to give them a few toys at Christmas? We need to adopt this family for a year and really put them on a path to success. So that's what we've done. And one of the things that has happened is the older girl who's 6, she doesn't know her letters and she doesn't really count well. So this Fulbright scholar that I mentioned earlier also has a credential for special ed. She will be teaching and tutoring this girl to get her ready for school. Because if she gets turned off to school at 6, you're not going to be able to turn her around at 12. So those are the kinds of things that we're really interested in: preserving the family, teaching Black history. We have a lot of Black art in here. There was a girl that came a couple of weeks ago, and when we got to the kitchen where we highlight Black caterers, I turned to her to ask her if she had questions, and she was crying. And I said, "Why are you crying?" She said, "I've never been in a place where there were as many people on the wall who looked like me." That's a horrible indictment for our kids not to have their history. So we really push African American history by introducing Biddy Mason and her life and her experiences, and then that goes on to others. And it's interesting because we see the kids taking pictures of things. We have binders that have reprints of articles about Black history that we'll either copy for them or they can photograph on their phone. But they know absolutely, other than Martin Luther King and maybe Malcolm X, they really don't know too much of anything else. And that's what happens when you grow up in the system and you're constantly changing your residential placements and your academic placements. So that's kind of a thumbnail sketch of what we do. Again, I'd like to invite you all to come and see the house because I think there's some things here that you'd be interested in seeing. But I'd like to open it up for questions also, because people usually have a lot of questions about foster care.
Jackie, years ago, I worked with a psychologist, and he provided counseling for, at that time, Dangerfield, which was a foster care agency.
Yeah.
But there, and a good friend of mine is Craig Woods, who used to run United Child Care, which is right there on Crenshaw. But there are not that many facilities around that for our foster children to provide the services for them. Are there?
Not really. In this local area, there's Living Advantage, Right Way Foundation. Dangerfield is still in business. Their kids come to our events all the time. And Sanctuary of Hope. Those are the 3 primary ones. There's a group called Shields for Families that is not an African American based group, but they have a huge contract with DCFS. But our concern is our kids are not getting their ethnic history. Nobody's pushing the ethnic history. If you grow up in the system, let's say your mother was on drugs, your father's incarcerated, because that's kind of the typical pattern. Who's going to tell you your history? And all you see on the news most of the time is negative. You don't know about anything.
Right.
So,
and they don't really get it in regular school, even when they're not.
We didn't get it in regular school when I was in school, and that was 100 years ago. That's what started me on this trek in the 7th grade to know more about Black history, because I refused to accept the fact that people were telling me we didn't have any history.
Right. Now, what are the ages of the kids that you guys service?
Well, right now, because of the scholarships, our kids tend to be 18 and above. Once we clearly get out of COVID and we open up, we're going to start getting middle schoolers and high schoolers, which will be a different dynamic altogether. But right now, it's pretty much, we have 4 kids that are in PhD programs. So we, right now, we have kind of a niche market. We get the kids that are really motivated. We haven't had to deal with too much of that other part of the population. So it's going to be interesting to see the demands that they make on us in terms of what their needs are. A lot of it is going to be coming out of the pandemic is going to be tutoring. We're looking right now at some sources to provide tutoring, because one of the other things that we offer here is housing. We'll be able to house 4 female college students. And one of the girls that we're housing is a student that I think we're going to house is a student at Trade Tech. And she's really struggling with math. So we're trying to get a math tutor for her right now. Other
Jackie,
questions?
yes.
Yes.
How are you accepting, will be accepting volunteers? Is there a way for people to help and assist with the efforts
Yes.
that you're doing at the foundation?
If you go on the website, www.biddymason.com, you can register there to be a volunteer, and then we'll call you and interview you and find out what your skills are.
And are you also accepting donations?
Awesome.
We always accept money, Greg. You didn't need to ask that, did you really? What nonprofit does not need money?
I'm going to share here the website.
Okay.
This is the Biddy Mason. And you can click on right here, this little donate button. There's some information here on how to volunteer.
Right.
A little pop-up comes up here. You can put some information in there. And then, of course, you can donate. A lot of information on news and resources. Show of hands, how many of you have heard of Biddy Mason before today? A few? Well, a lot of people are off screen, but or you can do a little reaction thing there. There are a few people. Fantastic.
Yeah,
And
that's about the usual response.
About 20% or so?
Yeah. She was a remarkable woman. I mean, they say all the research indicates she couldn't read or write, but I've read her will, and she was smart enough to get some pretty sharp attorneys to draw up this will. And she also spoke fluent Spanish. And that's what encouraged me to begin writing these plays about her and the historical fiction that I think would have occurred between her and some of the other early settlers. The first one deals with her conversation with Pio Pico, because we know they were good friends. So, and it's very interesting when you delve into what was going on in Los Angeles at the time and how she might have felt about what was going on in Los Angeles. There were a lot of Confederate people here during her lifetime. So she left Mississippi, went to Salt Lake City, came to California, but she was still dealing with that racism that she experienced in the South.
My name is Renee Tabor, and this is the first time I've been to the live presentation, and I put all my stuff in the chat. But what I wanted to ask, I have a cousin who is interested in opening a foster care facility in Palmdale. So I wanted to know if she could converse with you or consult with someone else at your facility for some just advice about doing it.
Sure. One of our board members, Mr. Otho Day, is a retired DCFS administrator, and I would put her in touch with him. Palmdale has a huge need.
I know.
They have a huge need. And I mean, there's some really troubling things going on in that Palmdale, Lancaster area for our kids.
Exactly.
And I would love to talk to her and to support her in any way we could, because as far as I'm concerned, Palmdale and Lancaster is a boiling pot ready to spill over at any time.
Exactly. So this is like what's on her heart. The other thing is that I work with the Leimert Park Theater Coalition, and we are looking for plays.
Well, let's talk. Let's talk.
My name is Renee Tabor. I'm putting it in the chat.
Okay.
All right.
Jackie, do you have any events coming up? Maybe like April 18 or something?
No, May 15, we're going to do, this was a resource fair. We haven't done a resource fair since the pandemic because it's just too much. But we have done Thanksgiving dinner. We do Thanksgiving dinner on Thanksgiving Day. And that's a good place for people to volunteer because the kids come in, they get a meal. They also get to shop for new clothing and hygiene products. There was something else Renee said I wanted to mention. Now I can't remember what it was. That's what happens when you get old. But
I saw something in the chat that's asking where we can see your plays.
Oh, well, they're not in production right now. They are, but I would be willing to talk to someone about especially the one with Pio Pico, because it deals with the Chinese massacre.
Okay, you need to talk to me. We even have a Spanish component. So
okay, great.
Thank you.
Jackie, I provide with the Urban League, I teach kids how to become entrepreneurs, and we have an actual program. I'm certified to do that. And it definitely offers a different gateway for the kids in our community to create a better life for themselves. And it also expands their financial literacy knowledge and just the whole concept of starting a business. So I don't know if that would be something of interest to you guys. Definitely would love to come in and speak to even the young adults because they have so many opportunities and so many that they're not aware of, but being able to take some of their negative energies and redirect it into a positive place where they're creating a business that can generate revenue that can take care of themselves and their families. So if that's something of interest to you, please let me know.
Yeah, we have one girl in particular who is extremely entrepreneurial, and I think she would benefit greatly from that.
Okay.
And I know there's a couple of others. She makes a lot of jewelry and that kind of stuff, but she could definitely benefit from that.
Okay. Well, I will reach out to you on that.
Yeah.
I'm going to share some more additional information here on the screen, which has contact information, location is obviously by appointment only. There is a donate button, and your contributions are tax deductible since it is a charitable organization, 501c3. Is that correct, Jackie?
Yes. I remember what I was going to mention. On May 15th, we're hosting a town hall. The theme is foster care in LA County. What do you really know? And on the panel is Congresswoman Karen Bass, a DCFS administrator, and two kids. Well, one who's migrated completely out of the system. She graduated last year with a master's in social work from USC. And then one of our PhD students who's at UCLA. You are all invited to attend. I think it would be a great way for you to get some good information about how the system works. People don't really understand how the system works. For those of you who saw King Richard, there's a scene in King Richard where he comes home at night from the tennis courts and there's a social worker and the sheriff in his living room where the neighbor has reported him for being abusive by keeping these girls out till all hours of the night on the tennis court. That's where it starts. Somebody makes a report. It may be as erroneous as that report in King Richard, or it may be legitimate, but that's where it starts. But the path that comes after that, the court dates, the social workers, the changes in social workers, each step is accented with trauma. What could be more traumatic for a child to be separated from their parent, even if they know the parent is not a good parent inherently? That's still mom, that's still dad, and they still love them. So I think people really need to have a better understanding of how the system works so that we can all work together to make help make the appropriate changes.
If there's 24% of our population of children in foster care, and I think that you pretty much said there's like 4, 5, or 6 maybe agencies, how many foster parents are out there to house all of these kids?
Not enough, not nearly enough, because they're like when I was growing up, if you were taken away from your family, you were sent to McLaren Hall
I
first,
remember.
and then you go wherever you were going to go. McLaren Hall has been closed for years, so there's no central place. And that's one of the reasons why every now and then you hear these horrible stories about a child who dies, not getting the proper care or whatever. There's a tremendous amount of runaways in LA County. And unfortunately, a lot of them wind up being sex trafficked. You walk up and down, if you ride up and down Figueroa and you see the girls that are out there, they look to be anywhere from 12 to maybe 18.
Yes.
And the average lifespan of someone in that business is about 7 years because of the abuse and the physical abuse and the drug abuse.
Wow. Because back in the day when I was working with the psychologist that was working that population, I knew a lot about what was going on. But I don't, it was like it just popped out of the mainstream of conversations. And you would have thought the way it dropped off that maybe it had dissipated. You didn't even hear about foster parents. You didn't hear about anything. So I think when you keep things in the dark, then it just kind of, we don't know what's happening, right? So
Right.
how can we get the message out that this is a serious issue with our children, because this is our future.
That's right.
And if they're not being educated properly, if they're moving around from high school to high school, and if there's 11 high schools, you know how many middle schools and elementary schools that and how much they miss. How do we help?
Well, I think one of the ways that people can help, because people ask me that all the time, you have to be honest with yourself. Everyone can't be a foster parent.
Right.
That's a tremendous job, and people who do it and do it well are to be applauded. But there's something that you can do, whether it's coming to our place on a second Sunday, having dinner with the kids, just sitting around talking, because they are so hungry for socialization. When the first year that we did Thanksgiving dinner, we had no money. And so it was all potluck. And so afterwards, we were sitting in the Allen house in the dining room, kind of rehashing the day, what we could do better, that kind of thing. And there was this kid sitting next to me, and he was drawing, because we always have an art workshop at our events, because these kids don't get a chance to explore art at all. And I said to him, I said, did you get any clothes and hygiene products? He said, yes, my things are in the chapel. And I said, okay. And then I waited about 20 minutes and he was still sitting there, and they were cleaning up in the chapel. And I said, you need to go get your stuff, because it may get thrown away because person doesn't realize what it is. And he said, ma'am, I'm just enjoying sitting here listening to you guys talk about real estate. So I said, you guys, look, we don't need to be fussing about who's going to bring potato salad and cornbread. We need to be able to talk with these kids, play games with them, draw with them, because that's what they're missing. And so that's what we've done. We found a caterer who's been with us all this time, and they do the meals. But they're so hungry for just the experience of talking to an adult who's not in charge of them. So just a simple thing like that. Or when we do our mailings, coming here, helping us stuff envelopes, because that's a problem. Our direct mail is a big source of income for us. There's something that you can do. You don't necessarily have to be a foster parent. You can be a cultural broker. DCFS has a program called Cultural Broker, which trains people to work with families that are in crisis, specifically African-American families, to try to reduce this disproportionality. So there's ways that you can become involved. You just have to make up your mind that you're going to be committed to being involved, and we'll help you find a place.
You mentioned the numbers. Well, I'd like to have you reemphasize that again. The numbers of foster youth children here in Los Angeles County is how much?
30,000.
Wow.
We have the largest foster care population in the nation, just like we have the largest homeless population in the nation.
And
And
are many of them from out of state as well, or not?
oh, some of them are, but and from different parts of the state. But it's just like, you know, there's a big correlation between homelessness and foster care, because these kids turn 18 technically if they're not going to school or in some type of program, they're out of the system. And for the ones that have been to 5, 6, 7, 8 placements, all they want is to be rid of DCFS. And they think they can make it on their own. And the girls a lot of times wind up being trafficked, the boys too, for that matter, but more so girls. And it's, I was on Figueroa about 2 months ago, and I stopped at a light, and a girl, she looked to be about 14, very thin. She had a barcode across her cheek. Now I've seen the barcodes on the arms and the legs, but never in a girl's face. So whatever she did to this pimp, he permanently branded her with this barcode on her face.
My God.
Yeah, I mean, it's insidious, and they buy and sell them and trade them just like cattle.
So I thought that years ago, and that this part I did hear, and I think Candy Lewis works this space in our community, and I think Cynthia Branch as well. I thought there was a program that they were, was it called the TASEX, where they were the emancipated youth that were coming
TAY
out?
program,
The TAY program.
Yeah, that's
What
pretty
happened
much
to that? It was
well,
that.
there's still programs for TAYs, but that's predicated on the fact that the kid wants to be in the program. If you've had a negative experience in foster care, all you want to do is be away from it. Anything that even remotely sounds like foster care.
So they just need a place where there's like normality, where they can join society, almost like the programs they have for reentry for those coming in for prison, so that you can readjust to and provide you with opportunities so that you can see your way past what your childhood was like.
Exactly. Somebody just needs to open a window so you can see that you have a future. You know, because these pimps, they hang out at Union Station, they hang out at all the places that the kids hang out. They go in, they give a girl a fake designer bag, take her to Vegas. By the time she gets to Barstow, she's so drugged up, she doesn't even know where she is. And then they have them. There's a book called Anybody's Daughter.
You know, this is where I'd like to chime. My gosh, I'd like to chime in right here. Hi, I'm Kevin Caleb. I'll turn my video on. You are singing all of my life. My family has been in this industry forever. Greater Hope Society is the group homes that we ran for many decades, which graduated to now a Greater Hope Foundation, which does foster family adoption assistance. We are in Barstow, we are in Victorville, we are in Los Angeles. My participation started with the equivalent of daddy daycare, because as a effort to work with the city of Inglewood, working with their mediation, their juvenile diversion program, I saw the need to start earlier working with the children. And we opened a licensed childcare in my home. Now, that graduated my participation in the family's adoption agency and the foster family growth. And I see what the trauma these children are going through. And just to have a clear understanding of what it's like to be appalled with anything that deals with the agency, as a lot of the children came to know it. They just want to, hey, I'm 18 and I'm gone. And you are dead bang on. They want nothing to do with anyone tied to the system, and they end up there. And I believe that's why my aunt parked in Barstow first, because leaving Los Angeles, headed to that Las Vegas area, there was such a need there. Yeah. And there, to hear the numbers that you're telling me, I've been in Las Vegas for the last 12 years. I'm just getting back. To hear the numbers here in Southern California is just, it is totally, I had no idea.
Yeah,
I had
it's
no idea it
unacceptable.
was that large, and
Yeah.
my family are participating in this industry. So that's I'll just, I want to get to know you. I want to get to know Ms. Tabor and introduce my family's agencies and such accordingly back and forth, because the need is so great, and I'd like to be a conduit. And now I'll be quiet.
Well,
Thank you.
I would welcome meeting you, because this work is too big. No one agency can do it by itself. We have to collaborate. That's the only way things are going to change, is for us to collaborate. And that's
Absolutely.
why I said earlier, there's a shoe to fit every foot. You just need to come in and start trying on shoes and seeing which one fits your foot. But there's work for everybody to do. Trust me. Trust me.
Jackie?
And no work is too small, because you're talking about somebody's life.
Correct. And thank you so much for all of your dedicated work. I truly commend you. I know how unselfish your heart must be to be there as you are. And thank you again.
Well, I'm just an old stubborn Black woman. You
Hey,
can't get rid of me.
Hey, I had a mom and a mother, and both of them are still exactly that at 83 and 86. So yes, I understand. Thank you for your work.
You're welcome. Thank you, Kevin.
Greg,
Are
What
you
is,
in the chat?
I don't see I was looking for your number.
At the end, you guys can click the in the chat box next to the little smiley face is 3 dots, and you can save the chat. It'll be saved on your computer, so all the information that's in the chat there,
Oh.
if you don't get an opportunity to copy it down, you can do that. So if you open up the chat box, right next to the smiley face is 3 little
Right.
dots, and if you click that, it'll say save chat.
Okay,
And
great.
then
Thanks,
your
Greg.
challenge is to
Can
figure
always-
out, once it's saved, where does it go? I know on my computer it'll pop up on a screen as soon as you save it, and that's probably the best opportunity to grab it right then, because
Okay.
and I will put the chat, actually all of the chat, into the archived of the show on YouTube, so you can go there as well. There's a couple other people in the chat. Sally, he actually works with the department, and I think he would like to reach out to you and connect with you. Jackie, he has put his phone number there. And there's a number of other individuals, Donna Dimley, that has some information for you there as well. This is serious, guys. This is the purpose of the community briefing, is so that we know what's happening. Because without you, Jackie, without you coming and saying that, years ago, I knew all that, but I haven't worked with anyone or kind of been in that connection to know what was happening. And the pandemic kind of made us all we're all very isolated now. And
Yeah.
so it's very important that we help you get this information out to our communities and to our Black people that don't have a clue that this is going on.
No, and they don't know how to handle the challenge once they get in the system.
Yeah. And I think we as people, we look around and we see the homelessness, and we don't see the real stories behind the homelessness. We think that, you hear this all the time, that people just, they just want to be out there in the street. Well, we know that's not true.
No.
And I have many friends that work in the homeless segment of the population. So we can reach out to you to kind of direct us, and whatever you need from us and from me, by all means, please use me as a conduit as well. Children are very important to me. I half of my work world and my professional world is I use my talents and skills and donate that back to the children of our communities, because I think they have to have us. Well, it's not a thing. I know they have to have us in order to grow into healthy adults. Without my mentors and my exposure when I was a kid at Fame, life could have been different. For many of us, life could be different.
Jackie?
Right. Yes.
What is LA Unified doing or not doing in the foster care space?
Well, we've worked with LA Unified over the years, and now we actually work with LA County. We have right now, I have a young man coming at 2:00 who goes to Fremont. He's 17, almost 18. His mother kicked him out of the house. His father is an OG gangster who's been released from prison and is now in a same-sex relationship. This kid needs 200 units to graduate from high school, and he has 15.
Oh, Lord.
So we're meeting with him today. He's in a foster placement that the social worker feels is not a good placement for him. He has very few clothes, so we bought clothes for him. We're going to meet with him at 2:00. Greg, I think you know Pat Wilson at Fame. She is a special ed administrator and teacher, so we're going to try to get him placed in an appropriate place so he can graduate. But the mother seemingly has some mental health issues. I don't know what LAUSD is doing. I mean, we have contacts within LAUSD. When we reach out to them with a specific case, they help us. But overall, they're as overwhelmed as DCFS is. So without community involvement, these kids just get lost. And the gangs are after this boy right now. So if there isn't some type of intervention, we'll lose him. And he'll just become another statistic.
I know there's a counselor program that focuses on foster kids who are in foster care. I'm not sure who heads that up, but I'll try and find out who that is. And if it's not already a resource, it should be.
Yeah, we get a lot of support from LAUSD actually, and the community colleges as well. But it's just, it's getting to the kids and developing a relationship strong enough with them so that they'll trust you, because they don't tell you everything in the beginning.
Yeah.
And just like this family that we adopted, the father and his brother were sexually molested in care. So he's like a lion around these kids because of his experience.
What else can we do to help support, even from a legislative standpoint? I mean, are there some elected officials that have taken this under their wing or championed?
That's why we're having Karen Bass, because she's been very, very outspoken and supportive of foster care and authored bills about foster care, and that's why she's the lead on the panel.
Anybody
We're not endorsing anyone. Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying
So
that,
is
but I'm
there
just
a
saying.
flyer?
We need to control the attendance for this, so there's a printed invitation, and I will get your addresses from Greg and Cynthia, and I will send you an invitation, because we need to be able to control the attendance.
Okay, I get that. Yolande, I think she had a question.
So I'm very interested in this area, and I've been working as a parent activist now since I arrived here for 14 years. I mean, we have to understand that our lowest performing children in LAUSD are the Black children.
That's right.
They've created a program called the Black Student Achievement Plan, where they invested 100 million into that plan to support our children. It's spearheaded by Dr. McKenna on the board. But we, a group of parents, there's been 43 of us now that are tracking this program and know we're not seeing the impact reaching the child. And the largest number of children in that program who are the underachievers, like Jackie's already said, are our foster children. So I don't know, Jackie, if you know Mary Lee. Mary Lee is an advocate for foster children in the care system. She was also a principal and administrator within LAUSD. She sits on our organization, which we launched a month ago, called the National Association of African American Parents and Youth, which is unapologetically Black, focused on Black children and Black families. So I definitely would like to talk to you. We have a board of 15 parents, community members who have launched this organization. So yeah, and I have a space. I run a space called The Knowledge Shop. It's a nonprofit, and we train children every day. So I definitely would like to help you with that, student. We've successfully trained over 200 children in The Knowledge Shop who have gone on to graduate and gone on to college. And so we know how to do this and we know how to do it well. So please, let's see if we can
I
hook
would
up.
love to talk with you.
Yeah.
And I do know Mary Lee. We've just
Great.
begun to start working with her. Yes.
Great.
Yolanda, can you put your if you
The
have
phone number in the chat.
information in the chat?
Yeah, I put the email in the chat for you.
You did
so
already?
you
Okay,
can
thank
share
you.
it.
Mhm.
Dr.
And my
Mays.
website.
Dr. Mays just came on and said UCLA has several foster programs. There's a lot of people that want to help you, Jackie. They're in the chat.
For Dr. Grace, we've been working with, and her name escapes me, with Guardian Scholars at UCLA for the past several years. We get a lot of scholarship applicants from UCLA. So I would really like to talk with you.
This is what this is all about, guys. Jackie, you've been awesome. You've opened a lot of our hearts and our eyes and let us know that there is definitely work for all of us to do. This is what communities are supposed to be doing, is helping each other, and definitely our more our population of young people, because that is our future. And so I think we can't be a community if we're not focusing on them.
That's right. But again, I would really encourage all of you to call me and come and visit the house, because I don't think you get what we're trying to do if you don't see what we have here.
Well, I definitely want to come and see what's the house, and I get it. And I want to know, so there are books about Biddy Mason. You know, it's interesting. I grew up in Fame, and I've always heard about Biddy Mason. I knew she, a little bit of what she did, but I too, and I was right there in Fame, didn't know the full knowledge of what she's done. So are there books?
Yeah, there's one book in particular called The Force of a Feather. That's pretty good in detailing her life. There'll be another one coming out probably next year that's based on this current research. The lead historian's got a grant from the National Endowment for the Arts of $250,000. No one has ever been had enough money to do the real research that needed to be done, searching the tax records and the deeds and that kind of stuff. It takes money to do all of that. So we are, hopefully we will be able to identify all the property that she owned and have a commemorative plaque put on it, even if it's only a parking lot now. I personally believe that from my research, I personally believe that part of the property that the Music Center sits on was part of her holdings. We know that the Japanese American Cultural Center on San Pedro is on land that she owned, and they openly acknowledge that. But it needs to be designated so everyone will know.
Wow, yes, that's important history. Oh, just amazing. Thank you so much for this valuable experience that we have had, that I have had. I hope all you guys agree as well. And however we can help, we are definitely here for you. Anything that you're promoting, let me know, because in addition to this, I have my other platforms and a pretty large reach. Recycling Black Dollars. I've been in the community for 34 years.
I remember when you guys started. I had a flower shop in Inglewood and I was a member.
Okay, with Muhammad Nazardine. And yes. So and I'll talk to Jackie, make sure that you guys have put in our resource guide, or it's definitely we have a mobile app now, so people will know how to get in contact with you. So I'll reach out to you. Is your contact information in the chat, Jackie?
Yes, I think Greg, you put it in, didn't you?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, I want one more thing publicly to you, Jackie, is and I had put this in the chat, but I just want to tell you now, the organization that I work with, Employee Retention Credit, we work with nonprofits. And if you have W-2 employees there, you are probably eligible for some of this credit that we have. So
okay.
Chat, so look that up. I mean, it's substantial. So, okay. And it's for nonprofits and profits.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And for those of you that don't know, Renee Tabor, you probably recognize the last name. She's related to Danny Tabor. So just for everybody to know. And Stephen, I spoke with Renee this morning, and we'd love to have her on to talk about the retention program. So I'm going to get you her contact information, which she provided for me this morning. So there we go. I want to thank you all. Dr. Mays, do you have an update for us? And Jackie, you know, this is not your family. Anytime you have this, the community briefing is here for this purpose. If you have something you need to get out and you want us to know about it, you are always welcome to come back and have that conversation with us.
Thank you.
And we will do our best to help you. Reach out to me. I will get I'll take your contact information to reach out to you. And I would love to do some volunteering. I don't know, do you need clothing for the?
Well, we need clothing from time to time. Right now, our inventory is really full, so we can't use any clothing right now. We do need hygiene products now. That's getting a little low. But clothing, we're okay.
And hygiene products, just, you know, soap,
deodorant, soap, toothbrush, that kind of stuff.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Dr. Mays, are you still here?
Yes, I am. Good morning, family.
Good morning.
As you know, there has been released a couple of days ago that there's the possibility of people being able to get a additional booster shot. That would be shot 4. And it's for individuals who are 50 and older, or for anyone who's immunocompromised. I suggest that if you're immunocompromised, that you get there as soon as you can get there. But you should, one thing I'm suggesting to people is, before you go get this booster shot, just check in with your healthcare provider and make sure that, you know, you're within the time and that this works for you. But if you're immunocompromised, you should try and go soon. It is not yet available through drugstores. So we're talking about going back through, you know, kind of that long line, you know, crazy nonsense as before. So if you're going to do it, you need to do it soon. And the reason for that is there is some concern that we may not have enough vaccine for a 4th dose for everybody that would qualify. So I wouldn't be on the, I'm going to wait and see. I would be on the, let me call my physician's office. No, I don't need an appointment. I just need a question answered. And that is, you know, should I do this? Make sure that you tell them in the time that you had your last booster. If you haven't had your first booster, you definitely should do that. There is, as everybody's heard, the Omicron variant 2. It is more predominant right now in the Northeast, but believe me, just like the weather, it works its way out here. So there will be, in a matter of time, it will be here. It still is now too the most prevalent in terms of when we do testing to type what it is. So I just want you to have the latest and the greatest of news so that you take care of yourself. Because, you know, when you're wealthy now, you want to be healthy to be able to spend the money.
True that. Thank you, Dr. Mays.
I think people are getting a little bit comfortable.
I agree.
And I was invited to an event this weekend. We opted not to go. I saw pictures from the event, and there were a lot of people. Nobody had masks. And now subsequently have heard they're doing contact tracing because, you know, somebody there wasn't on the up and up and showed up and was positive, and then, you know, got other people. So it's a struggle. Next
it really
week,
is. And those of you that have businesses, I was just recently away, and the area I was in was predominantly a tourist area. So the businesses really wanted people to come in. And so I started talking to people that had signs in the window, because it would say, you know, mask required, mask preferred, or they would talk to you when you came to the door. And I will tell you that the people that had mask preferred, they did not lose. They said, we are doing fine. because the people who worry are coming in our stores.
Right.
People who want to be protected, they
Right.
said the older people are the one with the money that can spend it. The younger people, they just wanted to look around in the store anyway. So I will tell you that you need to think about how you want to present the safety. There was a store in which there weren't, people wearing masks that were working in the store. I can't tell you, I was walking up to the store. People kept coming in and out. I thought, oh, they don't have any sales and nothing's going on in there. What it was when I walked in, it was young and no mask. I walked out just as fast as the other people did. So you might want to think about the message that you're portraying in the community, because the individuals who are immunocompromised tend to be Black women. And so if that's who your target group is, you need to determine whether or not you want to have a message that you are considered and protective of their health.
We definitely,
Thank you.
I'm very, very cautious. Greg, you want to tell us who our
Next
guests?
week, our guest is Christopher Jackson, and he's the Executive Director of Economic Development for the City of Inglewood. And obviously, if you've been paying attention and reading, you realize that the City of Inglewood has been doing a lot of development, both at a grand scale and at a smaller scale for local businesses. I'm a resident of Inglewood and a business owner in Inglewood, and obviously with SoFi and the Clipper Stadium. So he's going to join us next week, next Thursday, 11 o'clock, to share with us some information on the community and the opportunities that are available for businesses here in LA County to participate in that, because we got a lot of things going on in Inglewood, the World Cup, the Olympics, Super Bowl's coming back, a lot of stuff happening.
Awesome. Just wanted to, for those of you who came in late, Miss Robin is visiting her folkses in St. Louis. She is fine. She's doing well. So she's just taking a little respite to visit family. Want to thank you all for joining us today. Thank you so much, Jackie, for this incredible wealth of information that you provided for us. We will safely come visit your house.
Yes, you can.
Dr. Mays, as always, we value the information you bring to us. Everyone, new people, I see new faces today. Thank you guys for joining us. Please come back next week. You'll be able to see this. It's actually streaming live on Facebook right now. So if you go over to Recycling Black Dollars, you will actually see us, and then I will upload it into the YouTube channel. And it will be also, if you guys have not noticed, I usually put the previous week's show on the fly on the e-blast that I do every week, and also some flyers that are there for other activities that are going on into the community. So if you have something that you want the community to know about, email me. My email address I will put in the chat, and you can email me, and I can put it on our I can add it on to the flyer. We want to thank you all for coming again. Continue to tell everyone this is a platform that we want to grow. Stephen has actually put in the chat, if you feel the need, you can donate to the community briefing. But this is, we feel, and I hope you guys feel the same way, this is a valuable media channel that needs to grow in our community. If you have anyone that you think that would be great as a guest on the show, send that over to myself and Stephen. And we want to thank you all for coming out. Renee, thank you for coming. We appreciate you. Jackie, awesome family, my main family. And thank you, Greg. Thank you, Stephen, and all of our loyal visitors every week. Thank you guys so much, and continue to tune in to the community briefing.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Emma, how are you?
Hi, everybody. I'm fine. I'm just working.
Okay. Stephen, did you have anything you wanted to say, or did Stephen already check out? Stephen's already gone. All righty, guys. Have a great week. Be safe.
Now, the only thing Stephen wanted to remind is that, as the community briefing, we do have a website. There are some costs to the website. Right now, it's been out of pocket, so we appreciate donations. No donation is too small. And of course, no donation is too large. Same thing with Jackie Broxton. There's information there if you would like to make a donation to the charitable foundation. Same thing. No donation is too small and no too large.
All righty. And my partner, Miss Rhonda Holbert, who I do the Biz Camp and Biz Institute week, is here. Hello, Rhonda.
Hey, Miss Crystal.
Hey.
It was a great show today. Thanks.
It was
Thank
wonderful.
you. And if any of you have youth between the ages of 13 to 18, Miss Rhonda and I do a summer biz camp in the month of July. It is an absolutely awesome program. We teach your children how to become entrepreneurial, and they actually create a business plan and they pitch their idea, and they actually are competing against each other. And so it's an awesome program. And then they become part of our alum, and there's just some amazing opportunities that are there for our young people. So if you have any your kids, your grandchildren, your nieces, your nephews, your next door neighbor kids, go on over to the Urban League, which is laul.org and /bizcamp and sign up. We also are always looking for volunteers to come out and speak to the kids and to assist in the virtual program. So it's all on Zoom. So go on over to the Urban League. We'd love to have you. Thank you, Rhonda. We're gearing up. Registration is going on right now. Our goal is to service 50 kids. So once we reach that max, July 5th is the first day of the camp. And so the kids will have a great time. We even provide a small stipend. They work toward to receive a small stipend for attending our camp. So we pay them to come. So thank you guys, and we will see you all next week. Thank you, Jackie, for this information.
Thank you. Thank you
I
for
will
the
send
opportunity.
the chat over to you because there's a lot of people that want to help
Right.
you. And so I'll actually, when the program downloads, I'll actually send you the full chat.
Thank you, because I'm trying to write down names.
No,
I'm
I'll
probably
send
getting
it to
something
you.
wrong.
Anybody else, you guys can click if you have the opportunity or the you can click the three little buttons and you can actually save the chat to your computer. And as Greg says,
Do it now before the.
yeah, you gotta do it now before I stop. And if
while
not,
I'm sorry, while they're doing that, I'm gonna send a flyer over, Crystal, if you don't mind sharing, for our youth entrepreneurial challenge. And a lot of these people benefit from what you guys do. So it's coming up April the 30th, and you have to register. It's on a Saturday, but it's a wonderful, wonderful event with our young people. And you will be amazed what they come up with
okay.
as a new entrepreneur. We'll get that information to you.
All right. Sounds fantastic. All righty. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Y'all come back now here.
Yeah, come back next week.
Bye, everyone. Have a
Take care,
good
Thank you,
Bye.
rest of your
Kevin.
day.
Oh, absolutely.
Crystal,